Hey everybody, it's Bob Wizard. Now, when the Vernusylphs were first announced, I thought that they were very powerful in Gadget, and after playing with them for a bit, I have come to the realization that they are bad in Gadget. Now, this is counterintuitive because you have these combos that ignore the proxy that seem so powerful. This is Gigant without the normal summon, and that's crazy, right? This is Seedlings and Haze. So that's Gigant without the normal summon, and historically, Gigant without the normal summon has been quite good. Now you get an extra extender there due to the release of Seedlings and Haze, which is just this, but again. But the real problem is you're Earth locked. Now there's a couple of good win cons in Earth, but namely the Telephone FTK. But the problem is that they are extremely weak to Interruption. It doesn't help that they get hit by Ghost Bell and Ash Blossom, and they also discard your Stoplight. Now, Gigant also does not work against Ash Blossom and Ghost Bell. However, it doesn't discard your hand while you're doing so. There's also and also these lines lose to Infinite Impermanence, so you aren't gaining any advantage from playing these. You lose to the same things. You're locking yourself into Earths, and if you build around it, you're less consistent because you can't play the power. You can't play. You can't reasonably assume that you'll be playing the Symphonic Engine or normal Stoplights, or the Metal Foes engine, or Platinum, because you can't activate the effects of Platinum, so you don't run it. And this is a problem because Platinum Gadget says summon 2 monsters, which is says summon 2 monsters, and one of those monsters summons another monster, so he summons 3 monsters from going into a Link 2. And the Part 2 completes your scales, and Pendulum Summoning is quite good in Gadget, as has been proven time and time again. And these may summon 1 monster, but Pendulum Summoning summons 4 monsters. And it's a little bit better, I think. I haven't seen yet a good Gadget list that both plays the Vernusylphs and isn't just trying to Telephone FTK. The problem with the lists I've seen that are doing the Telephone FTK is you're playing so much stuff to make the Vernusylphs work when you could just play Scrap Recycler, Platinum Gadget, and Part 2. I think most of the problem with Vernusylphs is that you give up so much by becoming Earth locked. Now, if they didn't have the Earth lock on them, then I would suggest playing them. But since they do, you cannot use Platinum Gadget. You cannot use the Part 2. You cannot use Gold or Silver Gadget. You can't use Tin Goldfish. You can't use a lot of the cards in the deck that make it more consistent. So instead of relying on a Stoplight, a Metallic, and a discard, instead you're relying on having. So you can run 9 of these. You can run 13 of these. I run 13 of these. I run 12 of these, and this is the rest of the deck. Whereas in Vernusylph, you need to open 1 of these 2, So you have 6 here and 9 here because you can't play DJJ as a stoplight substitution, because that's not how summoning Earths work. So you have, so it's 12, so it's 13 and 12 to 6 and 9, which is a massive hit to consistency, and you lose easily accessible small world bridges. The next best small world bridge is Ausa the Earth Channeler. And Ausa the Earth Channeler is not a useful card in Vernusylph Gadget, because if you have one half, you don't need that same half, because they decided that printing a Wind the Wind Channeler but for Earth was too good, so they restricted you to only having the same type. So that means that if you have a Vernusylph, you can only get another Vernusylph, which you didn't need because you already had the Vernusylph. And if you have a gadget, you can't get a Vernusylph, you have to get another gadget, which just makes it unplayable. It doesn't bridge your stuff. It doesn't help with consistency, so you can't count it towards these totals. The main thing, you lose to Interruption anyway. You're not beating Interruption. So I would much rather have, the chance to not die the next turn, or actually have my engine online for the next turn, by playing Silver Gadget and Gold Gadget instead of discard your hand, get ashed. I think a lot of people tunnel into the fact that the Vernusylphs summon the gadgets for pretty much free, and they don't miss timing because they summon after you search, or dump in this case. Now, some people may say, well, if you don't open these, then you can do fine. The problem is you need to open 3 Vernusylph names and a gadget then, because that's what these do. These get you from 1 Vernusylph name to 3, because 1, 2, 3. So you just can't justify playing Vernusylph, because it lacks so much consistency. And if you want to say, like, you can't play with stoplights in this deck either. Like, if you don't have access to a stoplight, you just flat out can't play the game. Whereas in this version, if you open a Metallic, a level 4 machine, and Guitar, so that would be the same as opening this guy, because you need him in order to telephone FTK in Vernusylph Gadget. If you open this, you win, because this allows you to Gigant, search a stoplight, then you have Guitar, Gigant, and you haven't used Guitars yet. It's just frustrating to see that people still don't understand how, why this is better than, why summoning gadgets from hand is better than trying to summon them from grave. So if these were not, if they were different types among the Vernusylphs, then it might be better. But they're all fairy. I'll just get this Whiskey Craft away. They're all fairy, so there's no real room for Small World to help alleviate consistency issues by swapping one side from another. You have to play the third thing, which is Ausa the Earth Channeler. You have to play Ausa in order to bridge the 2 decks, and Ausa doesn't even bridge into Red Gadget because they both have 1500 defense. Not that matters, because you can just bridge into these 2, but it does come up sometimes. You could say that for Guitar and Silver, but they do less than nothing if they are interrupted, which is a problem, because I'd much rather have my card do nothing than do less than nothing. If Anchor Gel gets impermed, okay, I have an 1800 attack position monster. Not great, but it's pretty close to what Kashtira does in the same situation, which is pass unless you have extension, which in this case would be guitar, because guitar is incredible. I just don't see the point in playing a less consistent version of a 2-card combo deck that already there's no point in playing a less consistent version of a 2-card combo deck. If you're gonna play a 2-card combo deck, you play the 2 cards at the most copies that are reasonable, and also in the way that doesn't lock you so you can do anything. Because these restrict your plays from using the cards that you should be playing anyway, like Platinum Gadget. Platinum Gadget was made to summon gadgets. That's what it does. It summons gadgets, and you just rob your choice of playing Platinum Gadget if you play these stupid fairies. They don't do anything. They don't do anything that Tin Goldfish does not do. So normal tin, summon gadget, FTK. Uninterrupted, Tin Goldfish summon yellow gadget is an FTK. So is this. However, there's a lot more Tin Goldfish effects than there are Flowering Fields effects. And because Flowering Fields has to do way more things to do the same thing that Tin Goldfish does. It has to search you another card. It has to discard 2 cards, summon another card, all to get around taking a game action, which is normal summon. Normal summon effect. Boom. Yes, it makes Gigant without the normal summon. But do you know what also does that? Wakaushi. Now, Wakaushi isn't out yet, and the name might change by the time that Cyberstorm Access is released. But I still think that it is important to realize that that Gigant without the normal summon is only alright. It is powerful, but if you are getting Earthlock doing it, it is not worth doing, because while Gigant is a strong card, there are plenty of other strong cards, like Platinum Gadget. Platinum Gadget and Gigant are the core of the deck. They're what the deck is built around. You are summoning Gigant X often and as much as possible, and you are summoning Platinum somewhere in that, and you are popping Platinum somewhere in that. That is what I think makes a core identity of a gadget deck, is you are summoning Gigant X and you are summoning Platinum Gadget. If you take one of those away, it doesn't feel correct and it doesn't feel powerful, because you are not utilizing the tools that you have access to their greatest effect. I have a firm belief that Gadget can do literally anything in the game. Just off of Tin Goldfish and Red Gadget, you can do, and a discard. You can do anything in the game. What you cannot do is anything that requires you to activate a non-Earth Monsters effect with the same thing, except worse, because you don't open it as often.
So here is my current deck list, plus or minus a couple of cards. And here is the best Vernusylph list that I've seen so far.